I think first I would actually encourage them to look inwards and have like ultimate clarity on what their superpower is. And I would say this to like not just women, but any kind of junior, anybody who's like trying to enter the industrial design world, like find what's special about you and make sure how to communicate that clearly, because I think people respond to that a lot.
Hmm.
So like make your difference, whatever it may be. Like your superpower sounds cliche as fuck, but it is really true, because that's the thing that only you will have, right? Not everyone's going to have
Yeah.
those combinations.
Today I'm talking with Dhruvee Tyagi, an industrial designer from India, now based in Malmö, Sweden, where she works at Above Design Agency. In this conversation, Dhruvee shares her journey from growing up surrounded by India's vibrant culture to studying in the US to finding her place in one of Scandinavia's top design studios. We talk about competition and humility, mentorship and leadership, and what it really means to find your voice as a designer. So whether you're just starting out or already deep in your design career, this chat is a reminder that growth often comes from curiosity, balance, and a little bit of chaos. So let's get into it. I would like you to start from the beginning. So where did design first appears in your life?
Well, it would be amazing if there was like one dramatic moment that it happened, but not so much the case. I think, well, I'm born in India, and I think that has a big part to do with
Mm.
my why design is part of my life, because the culture itself is like so incredibly vibrant, and the way of thinking is very much driven around like functionality. I think, well, especially the kind of background that I come from, it's not like ultimate luxury. So you are making the best of the things that you have, and that requires a good amount of like a functional approach, but not without like the aesthetics and the fun and everything. So I think there's creativity involved in just everything, like our festivals to even when I was little, there's like a lot of craft that I was part of. So I think that's probably what started the juices flowing.
I think if we compare this with Mexico, when I was talking with a friend, Yash from India too, we kind of share a lot of similarities when it comes to being surrounded by a culture of a lot of color, a lot of sound, a lot of music, and also this idea of, yeah, we are not like a super incredibly developed countries. In some parts, we do have these developments, but a lot of our people that we surround ourselves is like, okay, this is kind of broken. Let me see how I can fix this. And then it's like kind of we call it in Mexico, Mexicanada, which means that you solve your way into a Mexican way. So
Mm-hmm.
it's a good one. It's working. It doesn't look beautiful, but it's doing the task that you needed to do. So I get the feeling that it's kind of similar from what you're telling me with India.
Absolutely. There's actually this word in Hindi. It's called jugaad, which basically means like you make do with the best of your ability at that time. Like it works. It's good, and I actually think it's like a really fun term and a fun way, because it's not like things don't always have to be perfect, but they can still always be joyful. So I think
Yeah.
some cultures have cracked that, and definitely there's a lot of similarity between Mexican culture and Indian culture for sure.
That's beautiful to hear. And when you were looking into, okay, should I jump into industrial design? At least in my case, it was like graphic design and then architecture. How was it for you? Because at my time and in Mexico, I think it was quite similar. Industrial design was still like, oh, so you are an engineer? No, industrial designer. Oh, so you do logos? No. Oh, so you do machines? Like, kind of, but no. So how did you discover that industrial design was an option?
Yeah, funnily enough, actually, I think I discovered this while applying for colleges, and when I was in that age where I have to think about what exactly I want to go into. I always wanted to go into design, and it was always graphic design that stood out to me, because it was very, very visible, like the impact that graphic design created. And for me, most of it was through ads. Like you get this like
Mm.
newspaper in India every day, and I would just kind of scroll through like the different pages and see the ads. And I think that was very, very intriguing to me. So I was actually thinking of applying to graphic design school. And then while going through the courses just for fun, I realized there is something called industrial design. I did not even know that before then. And when I realized that, I could do this, but in 3D, I was actually like, oh, that's amazing. Let's try it. So I didn't go into it with this vision that I know exactly what ideas and this is what I want to do for the rest of my life. It was more of like, I think I would enjoy this. Let's go for it.
Yeah, and it's kind of also a part of a or very naive or small view when you see graphic design. At the beginning, when you compare to industrial design, we all think the same. Oh, so I can do it cooler, pro, like 3D way.
Yeah.
And now we are taking graphic design is taking also this idea of product design more into UI, UX. So it's kind of these worlds are growing together with industrial design and product design. So it's seeing quite different from what we were seeing with graphic design. And when you were applying, why did you decided to apply outside of India? And in this case, I see that you studied in California College of the Arts.
Yeah. Well, because, just me being naive, not even knowing what industrial design is, was good indication that there was not a lot of industrial design back in India. Not a lot of good schools. There are a few, but at the time I felt that it's best to kind of go to a culture and a space where industrial design has been around for a while, and the US is that. Why I specifically chose San Francisco was because I did know what Silicon Valley is, and I thought this is a good place for me to be in just because of what's going to be around me at the time. So that was a very limited kind of worldview as whatever 17, 16-year-old thinking that cool stuff is happening there. Let's just go there. And I was fortunate that my parents agreed. So
yeah, and it's way, way far from the place where I live. And in that regards, how do you see this transition and this contrast between cultures? Because it's quite different the US from India. So at what age did you move to the US?
I moved when I was 17.
Oof, super young.
Yeah. So I graduated from 12th grade and then moved there. So I did my bachelor's in the US.
Was it 3 years?
4 years.
4 years, okay.
Yeah. I think the biggest shift culturally was to not be surrounded by that vibrancy. I think it's actually a very big thing. And now, like the older I grow, that's the thing you miss most. And it's like when that's the thing that fuels you, like it could be the food, it could be the people, like a culture that's really loud and expressive. You can't really find that everywhere. Definitely not in the West so much. So that was the biggest culture difference. But I think what was really exciting was moving to San Francisco. There was such a strong like design community. So for the first time, like I had people who were talking about like design around me. So that was a very inspiring place to be in.
And did you feel like, in a way, threatened or welcome, invited? I remember when I was studying industrial design in Mexico, and then we had these big events about industrial design, like conferences. We will go and gather together, and we will see a lot of great industrial designers coming from different parts of the world. And I don't know if it was my way of seeing it, but I will feel small, a lot of things to do, to learn. I don't know if it was also the approach of these professionals that maybe some of them were quite humble. Some of the majority of them were not that much. And I think like being there in the US, in Silicon Valley, I feel like it was like very chaotic and a lot of things happening. And
yeah, I think absolutely I would feel all of those things. And in fleeting moments, like even my class, it had people from all over the world. So there were people from like all over Asia, not so many Europeans, but people from San Francisco whose parents were industrial designers, which was like, what? Like this can happen? Like parents can be industrial designers. So they knew, and they were kind of breathing design, like even as kids, and were coming from a completely different background. But I always knew that, you know, I am different, but I think like quite young, I always had that in me. It's like me being from the background that I am is actually a good thing. Like it's actually special and it's what makes me different. So
Yeah.
I was threatened, of course, in that, oh, I need to be better. Like this person knows how to do this. I also want to learn that. But I didn't, from an identity point of view, I didn't really feel.
And will you consider yourself competitive at that time? Because um, going back again into the people that I know, the first time that I got to really chat and being surrounded with people from India, I realized very soon that they were hyper competitive. They were not competitive, they were super hyper competitive. They will always try to be ahead of you. And then also you can look into YouTube, and all the tutorials at that time were from people from India. So you're like a boom, 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 fast, fast, compete, compete. And then some of my friends, that I met in Australia, they were like, yeah, I'm moving here to Australia because it's very competitive in India. So I just feel like I need to breathe a little bit from this environment. So yeah, how was it for you?
Absolutely. And I think there is a reason why all Indians are competitive. You know, it is because we don't come from a scarce population. You always, for every job, for every seat in a college, like you really have to compete. So it's part of the nature, and you're kind of trained to do that, which is both good and bad.
Mm-hmm.
But definitely hyper competitive. Like I think even till this day, like if I see somebody like that person is doing that better, it's immediate. Like I need to get on it so that I can also do that better. It's taken a
And now,
while to make that healthy, but
yeah,
it's
how do you balance that to make it healthy? Because to me, it's like, oh my God, like how do you get energy and time to sleep and do other stuff while you're trying to be ahead? How do you try to keep that balance?
I think more from like when you say is like how do you keep balance between like just going crazy working? I think that is maybe now easy to crack after a
Mm,
few years. I think in the beginning it's very much about like proving yourself. So whether you're sleeping and whether all of that is becomes very secondary. You're in the beginning you're just trying to prove yourself. But
yeah,
I think the one feeling that I had when I was highly competitive was actually also a feeling of jealousy, like when I saw someone get ahead of me. And that is something that over the years I've like actively worked on to just be like, just shift that jealousy into appreciation. It's like, ooh, I love you. Can you teach me this? And I think
yeah.
that has really, really helped to transition. Just make that person like your mentor for that small task, and it helps.
Yeah, because when you start to feel jealous about something that someone else did in a way better, because it's it's kind of unfair to say better, right? Because it's a different perspective. We all
Yeah.
come from a different background, so it's better for them or for you. Like who knows? It's kind of subjective. But yeah, if you compare in a great way, or if it's like about a design award or whatever, yeah, you could say yeah, it was better. And when that jealousy happens in your brain, you fully stop enjoying what you're doing. So even though you did a great job and you enjoyed that a lot, all that joy and happiness just goes away and kind of fades, and it kind of it loses the meaning if you are just trying to compare yourself, and
Yeah.
that's it's quite tricky. And listening to that, um, we are kind of looking back into your experience. Is there something that you wish you had known from the beginning when you were starting your journey abroad?
I think when moving to the US, like I don't think anything that really I regret or anything, but I think it is good if someone were to do it now to inform themselves of like a more global perspective. Like I think my lens was very much the US, and I think for a long time I didn't look at what's happening in Asia or Europe, for example. And I think the most exciting things are actually happening in Asia at the moment. It's good that I left the US, but at that time, I think I should have also done a little bit more due diligence to see what's happening everywhere.
Yeah. And when you finished studying in the US, how did you get your first opportunity, like in this professional path? Was it through an internship or fully into a job?
There was a few internships. So one I did kind of before graduating, and then I did two right after. My first internship was at like a toy company. It was a good thing for me to know this is not what I want to do. And then I switched to working at consultancies, like design agencies, as we know them. And yeah, both internships before the second one turned into a full-time job.
And I feel like I know the answer, but which one did you enjoy the most, like an in-house or design agency?
I mean, to be fair, I think most of my experiences in a consultancy, and I really, really enjoy it. Like, I think because I'm somebody who's more obsessed with the process than the result, at least right now, I
Mm.
really love working in a consultancy because I get to do all kinds of different things and then completely change my process with the next project. So I think it's like intellectually very, very stimulating. So I enjoy that a lot.
Mm. That's great. And looking into your profile, I see kind of a, I don't know if it's right way to say it, but like two layers that kind of places you in a position which is a little bit harder to compete. First, like coming from a different culture, country, India, and then secondly, more and more is kind of going away and being more balanced. But this idea of being a woman into this world of industrial design. So, did you experience any challenge when you were getting into this environment, and any good or bad experience that you had?
Um, I mean, you're right in that my profile ends up being kind of uniquely placed, not unique in the world, but unique-er. That's not a word. But I remember one of my mentors said to me early on when I was almost graduating, she said that you're a junior, you're a woman, and you're from a diverse background. Like you don't know how valuable you are. And I just thought she was just kind of saying that, but I think it's very much true. I think challenges wise, it's especially when you start out, I think there are not a lot of senior women in your team. Likely that was the case for me. So it makes it difficult to like find a role model or find a mentor within your company who can help you kind of navigate some challenges. But the good thing is that, you know, all the women who've come before me, they've kind of at this point paved the way for this generation of women industrial designers to find their place. So there's like a strong community. And I've had to find that kind of outside of my workplaces and just seek
Mm.
mentors working anywhere. And I've asked them like dumb questions about that. You know, I've had this meeting with like 5 men in my company and I feel like I'm not being heard. Like, how should I approach it? And those little things happen every now and then. People have certain inherent bias, even if they're not actively doing anything.
Mm.
But I think those mentors have been really helpful for me to navigate all of that. So that's the good thing, that you have a support system and people will be open to talking to you. But the difficulty is that that may not be there immediately at work. So you have to kind of be a bit more vocal and a bit more bold and kind of carve your own path within your workplace, at least.
And mentors is something that I hear a lot also when I read into books regarding how to improve yourself when it's work wise. Uh, and when you read, it's like, yeah, just look for a mentor that can inspire you and guide you. But in your case, how did you find them?
So this is where being in San Francisco was very valuable for me. There's this community there called Women in Industrial Design. So at that time, they kind of organized meetups. So I actively went to those to connect with other designers. And the mentors that I found are people that I lean to having a little bit of a personal connection with. So I may have had like one or two conversations with them and just kind of reached out to have one introductory call. And it was not like, oh, I'm presenting my portfolio, like give me a job kind of thing. It's just more to hear from them about their story and just get advice. Everyone loves giving advice.
Yeah.
So you just get some advice from them. And hopefully you build it over the years that they become a mentor. Like they're not going to be a mentor right away.
Mm.
But you have to kind of, it is a relationship. You have to kind of put time into it and hopefully you value them enough to do that. So
Yeah.
I think it's benefited me immensely. Like I reach out to people even today, like the same mentors that were there when I graduated. I will reach out to them even today when I have like a very specific crisis I would
Yeah.
like advice on.
And it sounds great, like this idea of being able to reach out to people, and also it takes a lot of vulnerability to say I'm gonna go to that person and ask for feedback, because sometimes some feedback can be very harsh. It shouldn't be, but it is what it is, and then you have to be open and say, "Yeah, I
Yeah.
embrace that, and then I will improve and I will do my best." And but also from that people that I'm quite sure they are super busy, because you are not just going there and asking someone that is doing nothing. You are going there and asking people that you want to be like them. You want to follow their path. And I'm quite sure they have a very uh, uh, packed schedule. So I think both ways is creates a very interesting environment of asking, giving. And I feel like also now you are in that space where some people they reach out to you and ask for feedback, right?
Hmm.
How does that feel?
Actually, quite well. I will say both good and bad. So the good part is like, when this first started happening, I took, it could be for very simple things like, can you give me feedback on my portfolio? And because I know how much that matters, and because people have done that for me in the past, I would take the time out and write really detailed feedback. And I loved doing that. I was like, okay, I'm doing my bit to give back to the community the same way that it was given to me. And then the
Mm,
people just like disappear. And then they just say, oh, can you recommend me for a job? And that's when it becomes a problem, is because you're not trying to build a kind of relationship. You're trying to get something like a job out of
from
it.
them.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so I think it takes both people to maintain that relationship.
Yeah. I feel like then you have to develop soft skills, which is kind of a funny that saying that we are human beings, so we should know how to approach two people.
Yeah.
And at the beginning, if they are asking you like, "Hey, can you give me feedback?" Yeah, sure. By the way, can you give me a job?
Yeah.
Okay.
Like it feels
No, it is not how it
transactional,
works.
right? Like nobody is going to entertain
Yeah.
that. Like first of
Yeah.
all, you should never have to ask for that. Like if you've shared your portfolio and if it's good enough, like the other person probably already would support that. But I think,
Yeah.
yeah, this kind of transactional thing it's like an immediate turn off. It's like then I just stop responding. So I'm sure there are a lot of people that are kind of just left on red. But
Yeah.
whenever, especially I think with women that I'm kind of sensitive towards. So if I hear something that, oh, I'm like, can you give me some advice? I've gotten on calls with a lot of strangers, actually video calls. It could even
Yeah.
be 30 minutes, and just kind of sharing what I'm sharing with you now, like my journey, and if they have very specific questions. So I think
Hmm.
there will always be people. It's not like 50 out of 50 will respond to you, but maybe two, maybe three. You only need one really good mentor to,
Yeah.
if you need help. So
Yeah. That sounds good. I think the more you put yourself outside, it's better, because in the end, it's kind of a loop, and it's like you're just filtering yourself and getting better and getting better. And of course,
exactly.
that sometimes some feedback might be like, "Nah, that's not my way," but I will take something. But that's also you don't ask just for one kind of a quote feedback. You ask for a lot of it, and then you decide, okay, I will take this and that, because in the end, it's also your own journey, it's your own path. People cannot decide for you and say, yeah, you should do this, because
Exactly.
then when they go away, you are like, so what's next? How am I supposed to keep going? And jumping back a little bit into this idea of a woman in design industry, have you seen any positive progress that you have seen right now, and what is something that still needs to change and that we should push a little bit more?
I mean, I think, well, I could be biased because I live in Sweden where things are fairly equal, to be honest. So I cannot speak
Yeah.
for somebody working in India or working in the US even. But I do think that there's a lot of progress in that, you're not no longer having to kind of demand your space in the or a seat on the table, like you have it. But I do think that when it comes to the kind of women we listen to, like I kind of feel like it's consistently the same profile. Like the woman has to be very kind of bold, assertive, and of course these are some qualities that leaders have. But I do see that not all people have that as a natural personality. So somebody who's like quieter or softer kind of just tends to disappear. So I do think that we have to be a little bit more welcoming of like diverse profiles, and like and by diverse I mean like difference in personalities, because some of those things are also inherent of culture. Some cultures like actually train women to be more soft spoken and gentle versus others. So you cannot just undo all of that in like a 3-month internship. So you have to learn how to welcome that and also make that equally heard. So I do think there's still some work that needs to be done on that mindset, and a lot of people are great at it, but not everyone. So we tend to fall into the same thing of like, okay, this person is great because they're like very clear in speaking and like yada yada. It's kind of the same profile that everyone thinks is great.
Yeah. And a lot of things that when we want things to change, either we kind of push and we create a community so we can help it, or we go and do it by ourselves, which is kind of what kind of makes sense, right? If you want to change something in your surrounding, why don't you start questioning yourself? So for these young women that are entering into this world of design, what kind of ideas or feedback or things will you tell them to pursue them to do?
I think first I would actually encourage them to look inwards and have like ultimate clarity on what their superpower is. And I would say this to like not just women, but any kind of junior, anybody who's like trying to enter the industrial design world, like find what's special about you and make sure how to communicate that clearly, because I think people respond to that a lot. Like make your difference, whatever it may be. Like your superpower sounds cliche as fuck, but it is really true, because that's the thing that only you will have, right? Not everyone's going to have
Yeah.
those combinations. So one is that, and then second, I think you have to kind of learn how to claim space in a room. And I say this knowing that like, yeah, not everyone can be loud and bold and blah blah, but make sure that whatever's on your mind is communicated, because not only is that important for you to be successful, it's important as a designer. Like people want to hear what you are thinking. That's literally your whole job as a designer. And I often see like young women feeling a little bit shy to say that. And like we had a lot of some interns from Korea who can tend to even feel like, oh, they don't deserve to speak when there's like a senior in the room. So I think completely eradicating that mentality that you're here and there's a reason you're here. So just own it and kind of make like communicate. And I think that already is like a good starting point.
That you're mentioning about these ideas of people from, I will say generally Asia, friends from China, Korea, Japan, India, when they start getting to be part of a community that is more from the West and like more open and talkative, you can really see how at the beginning they are very private, very introvert, and very serious, and they even talk to you like a "Hello, sir, would you like to la la la?" And then by the end of the 6 months of studying together, they are just saying, "Yeah, you fucker, blah blah blah," and you're like, "That's the guy that I wanted to know. That's the person that I really wanted to be friends with, not this polite gentleman or lady that is like, oh no, blah, blah, blah," because in the end, that's who they are, right? Like, it's not like they need to have a lot of swearing words in what they speak, but you can see when they really open themselves and yeah, they come out of their shell and they are themselves. And that's so enjoyable. That's so nice because they are also bringing something to the table that it's something that you haven't seen before.
Yeah, exactly. And that's important as in from a personal point of view, it's important at work. Like we want to know who you are and work with who you are. So it of course not going to happen on day one. That would be unreasonable and wild. Like I think none of us are truly ourselves on our first day of work. But I think I always think it helps to think of it like this is your job. To say, speak your mind is your job, and like treat it in that way. So you, yeah, practice speaking out loud.
And do you know which is your superpower, or have you discovered that?
Well, I think this is my superpower. Maybe others don't, but I would say it's kind of storytelling and communicating, like the meaning behind what I create. I think I'm able to kind of drive emotion or resonate with people when explaining what is it that I'm creating. That's what I think. Maybe others think it's like cooking or something else, but
Making coffee, like no.
yeah, making coffee, pouring a cup of coffee.
And now you are working in one of the best design studios. Like I'm not saying that. I'm not putting you to say it. I will say it for you. You're working at Above Design Studio in Sweden, and you have two in Sweden, right? You have in Stockholm and Malmö. You are based in Malmö, right? Like, what do you think make them look into you when you first started there?
Why they hired me, you think?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You
yeah. I mean, I think definitely the fact that I'm a woman. They did not have a junior woman at all, and
that was like 5 years ago.
Yeah, almost 6 years ago now, actually.
Almost 6. Okay.
Yeah, and I think the fact that I had experience working in the US, I think it was like my experience in the agencies in the US that also probably helped. So these would be the prerequisites. I don't know what else they thought on top of that, but yeah, these would be it.
Yeah, and of course that you had a great skills and a good portfolio.
Yeah, I think I cannot call my portfolio good now looking at it 6 years later, but maybe then, yeah, I was happy with it then. So yeah,
which is also a great part when you look back into something that you did and you're being like, ew, oh my god,
like
why?
never happy, no matter what it is. Like looking back, it's like, what I did that.
No. Yeah, I think that's the greatest part when you are growing as a designer and then just saying, ugh. Even though your parents might be like, oh, it's so beautiful. We have it even there in the kitchen. Like, no, throw it away.
My parents don't say that. They don't care.
Yeah, I think that's also something different in culture, right? Like when they are supportive or when they are just pushing or they don't even know what you're doing. And then now that you are there in Above, could you share a little bit about this space? We know from the outside world of Above that you are great. You are doing great stuff, beautiful. You are collaborating with amazing companies. But what's the atmosphere like? Why do you think it's working? Why do you think it's resonating with people and companies?
Why I think it's working is everyone is having like a blast doing the things that they're doing. Like I think Above is a company that's fueled by the passion of every individual that works there. Like there's like no upper mandate that this is what you have to deliver and this is what you must do and this is the expectation. Like each person individually is like incredibly driven and incredibly passionate. So I think that's what keeps them moving. And I actually thought about like why are we so passionate? Because there's a lot of passionate designers, but they may not be putting in like pouring their heart into their like everyday work for like years and years on end. And Above is a place where like there's actually people working here for 10 years. Like the team doesn't change out as often. Like people stay here for a long time. So I think there could be many reasons, but I think the reason is that like Above does a really good job at like making sure that your individual passion is encouraged and made part of like the company's collective passion. So, if something that you're interested in personally, like Above will foster that. Like nobody's saying that, hey, you can't do that. You can't do that. So you feel like Above's growth is very much like your personal growth. So there's like personal love and emotions connected to Above. So I think that's what keeps it going. And of course, there's like a thorough process and thinking, all that, of course. But I'm sure a lot of designers are incredibly creative and talented, but above, I think, is I've seen the most amount of love and care being poured into the work here.
And to you, what does it personally mean to be part of this studio?
I mean, I'm incredibly proud to be here, of course. And it means that like it's always keeping things on a high pace. That means that I'm never going to be complacent and like sitting back in my chair and saying, okay, I'm done and I'm just going to do this now for the next 5 years. Like never, that's not going to happen. So for me, it means that, yeah, you keep continuing on your growth and make sure you keep progressing even as a designer, as a leader, all of that. And I actually feel especially proud because like the peers that I share the space with, like a lot of them are from Europe. Most of them studied up in Umeå. So I feel proud of my journey that like coming from a different space, I'm able to sit alongside some of these people as well. So yeah, feels great. I love working here.
And if you look back into when you started and now, what do you think has been the special characteristic that has changed or evolved the most in your profile, personally and professionally?
Yeah. I mean, professionally, like I think the breadth of experience and the breadth of projects is amazing. I think both the depth and the breadth. So like working from very different kinds of categories, so tech to pet products to just basic consumer lifestyle products. So that has been great. But I think personally, I feel great like maybe since past 3 years or so, when I feel like I found my voice and my footing as a designer. So I think it took some while to search for that. And really kind of first is just, you're just kind of working, you're doing the tasks that are given to you. But I think when you find that voice and you can confidently also communicate that, and that's being heard and listened to and trusted, I think that has been a growth that I've had at Above.
And how does this change into your personal life? Because I think we as designers, apart from, well, maybe also it also happens in other careers. I was going to say like accountants or lawyers, but the mood, how you arrive from your home to this place, it really, I wouldn't say like it persuades or it just spreads into the space, right? When you arrive mad or happy, it really changes how you are approaching design, how you talk to people, interview them, how do you see problems, and if you really want to keep doing something. So we have to be in a way balanced in our life. We cannot just be happy in our studio where we are working and then being an asshole at home, or even living alone and not having friends. And I don't know, you can be introvert, but even introvert people, they have friends and family to talk to, even if it's a bot or whatever. So how is that, this happiness that I have seen while we are talking in this interview, in this chat, how is that transferred into your personal life?
I think it's very much, I would say that the balance between work and life, I'm still finding it, simply because I think as designers, and I can say this like maybe more than other professions, we are emotionally invested in our work because it's our creativity, our brain is like very much in it's still going, even when you leave work. So I will not lie that, if I'm having a great day at work, I'm having a great day at home. But I think all of that balance comes, as you said, with people around your life. So your friends and your partner or so on, like they help bring the other elements too. That like when you leave work, yeah, you could have a shit day at work. Maybe you arrive like, I didn't have so much of a good day, but there is life there after that. And I think the change there actually comes from being in Sweden more than being at Above. I think people here know how to balance that and probably like are heavier in the life scale than the work scale, which is great. So me coming from a culture where it's like work, 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 you have to, as you said, like be hyper competitive. And even the US is like that, right? It's like hustle, hustle, hustle forever. So I think here there's a quiet confidence to saying that I'm not going to do this today because I don't need to consistently prove myself. So I think
Mm.
that is one thing that also shifts when, for me, like the longer I stay here, the more confident I get in my own skill. I don't feel the need to consistently prove myself. If I'm doing anything, I'm doing it because I really want to do it. So that means it's bringing me joy. I'm never doing it because there's like a mandate that, oh no, if I don't do this, somebody's going to think I'm a shit designer. Like, I don't believe that. So nobody else can make me believe that. So there's calm and confidence in that, thanks to Sweden.
Yeah, I feel that the same when I was doing my studies at Umeå and also working at Huawei. Like all the people and all the environment, oof, I will even see this contrast at this company, Huawei. So we will have a lot of colleagues from Europe, mainly from Sweden, and we will also have colleagues from China. And there you will see a clear contrast. We will finish, like we will all arrive at 9, and some people will be there earlier, but all the people that were hired in this European atmosphere from Stockholm, at 5 we will be gone, done, finish, see you tomorrow, bye bye. And these people from China, they will keep working until 9, 10 p.m. They will take naps, but they will still keep working and working because they were hired from the headquarters from China. And to me, that was a huge contrast of this idea of, well, I have a program, and if I don't accomplish that, I know that someone is behind me happy to take my place. And then my boss will say, I'm so happy being here in Stockholm. Like, you have a life. And he was even joking about how much weight he gained when he was studying at Huawei. And now that he had more time to do exercise and sleep, he was super happy. And yeah, it was just such a huge contrast in that part.
I think that's the beauty of like moving abroad, is that you can pick and choose parts of every culture that you want. Like, you're not bound to just one. So, even if you completely made me Swedish, I think I would be incredibly unhappy in that, like, if I'm
Mm,
not, if I have to leave at like 3 p.m. or something, I think a part of like hustle or that hard work is part of who I am, right? So I
yeah,
cannot change that, and I wouldn't want to. It's what
yeah,
makes me happy. But
yeah,
yeah, it's nice to kind of learn from this culture and say, hey, like, take care of yourself also. And there is more than design. Design is
yeah.
not the whole world, like the whole or all of your life. There's more than that.
Which is the tricky part, right? Like when you were saying, like especially we as designers, we take a lot of emotions into what we do because we feel like it's our baby. Like we are not artists, we kind of are, right? Like we have a little bit of, we have to have this artistic taste. So when someone is criticizing whatever shape, fillet, color you gave, it's like, dude, that's my baby. Like, how dare you saying that?
Yeah, you
And
have to actively defend the thought of like, this is constructive. This is
yeah,
constructive.
exactly.
This is constructive.
And also, you have to realize I was reading this book about feedback, and oh no, it was an interview with Ali Argenio. He was the first one into being interviewed in this program, and he was saying when they give you feedback, the first thing that you have to do before presenting, before getting feedback, is you have to say, this is our next idea. You don't talk about my idea,
Yeah.
my thought, my blah, 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 because it's harder to get feedback. And when you say, this is one of the many ideas we had, because that's how it is. It is not your idea by yourself. You are there surrounded by people that, in a way, it's some kind of input that you wouldn't have come with this idea if they were not there. So it makes easier this feeling of, well, we are a collective group. We are bringing this together. But in the end, when you place it as a group, it's kind of easier. And also, I think it's more humble to say, yeah, this is our project. This is something we did together. That's something that I wanted to touch about this design agency. I see that also it's way more enjoyable when you have different cultures, right? Because you were saying, right, you have people from Europe, a lot of people that study in Umeå. You are from India. Which other countries do you have around yourself? Which other nationalities do you have?
Well, we have people from all over Europe. So there's a lot. There's Germans, Austrians, French people. We used to have somebody from England, I don't know, maybe we still do. Then the US, uh, China, Korea. Yeah, that's what I can actively remember. Literally have colleagues'
At,
faces just floating
yeah,
through. Yeah,
that's just great, and how this diversity brings more joy and more color and taste
yeah.
spices into what you're creating. And then how do you keep this fuel of I'm working here in a design agency? What kind of activities do you do as hobbies outside of this work time?
Well, I think hobbies, I'll answer the first question because I think it's not directly linked to hobbies for me. Hobbies are, for me personally, just something I do to relax. I don't know if it actually ties into my creative work, but for me, I've said this a few times already, but I make sure to visit home often. And for me, that's like home is not just me visiting my parents, it's visiting my culture. And I think nothing
Mm.
can inspire me more than that. I have like a natural inclination for CMF that I can only attribute to my culture, right? So when I go back home, I love going to like the fabric stores and I just see like the wide range of colors and the combinations that I wouldn't have imagined but are so successful. So I think that is a really big source of inspiration for me and keeps me energized. Hobby wise, like actually just traveling, I love looking at like furniture stores all over the place, and I love to read, which is less about design, not so much about design. But I love reading about philosophy because I think it helps you understand the way people think, and that's inherently what design is targeting. So I that those would be things that I think keep me engaged.
And in this line of people, or sorry, places that you look into, and things that inspire you, connecting it with this idea of a woman in design, but I will say not just in design. Do you have any names of women that you like to follow and keep you inspired?
I think maybe less from I usually seek less inspiration from like a visual standpoint. So it wouldn't be like a CGI artist or any kind of artist that I'm following. I look more towards like design leaders like Ivy Ross, Isabel Olsen, who are leading the Google hardware team, and it could be even like designers within that team that really inspire me. Not necessarily because of what they're doing now, but what they were able to do. Like that would be my dream if I was able to do what Ivy Ross did. So those are the people that I would want to emulate.
If we look back into all your amazing path that you have done personally, growing and professionally, is there something that you feel the most proud of?
Whoa, maybe this sounds a bit boasty, but I feel like I mean the fact that I have my journey from everywhere, and I'm able to compete at the same level with people who have had a lot more privilege and a lot more exposure than me, and sometimes beat them at it. It makes me really, really proud. So I know it sounds
That
boasty, but I
that
do.
sounds very competitive.
Yeah. Well, I did
Being
not lie
honest to
about
your
the fact
roots.
that I would not be competitive.
I think that's just amazing. Like embracing this, like this is who I am, and I
Yep.
don't care if what you think or not. Like I feel proud about that. I think that also makes a great and enjoyable personality, and that's I think that's just amazing. And the next question, so this the name of what I started is Designfulness, and part of this Designfulness idea is when we are designing, we are not just designing things and adding stuff because of this trivial phrase of clients, just add more design. It is not like that. It's when you are designing with consciousness, so it's a design and mindfulness. So that's the mix of these two words. Being mindful when you are designing is being conscious about why do I need to make this? How can I make it better? I know what are the requisites that the client wants, but I need to know why am I doing this and if I should add more or less just to make it perfect. And part of that to me is you're in this zone, right? You're in this space of being hyper focused, and when you are doing it with grace and happiness. You are kind of doing it from a place of love. Like you are bringing something to the world with your love, with the idea that someone will benefit from what you're doing. So in this case, for you, what does doing things with love mean to you?
Oh, beautiful question. I think doing things with love is about, of course, pouring your heart into it, but also something that makes you always connect with joy. Like for me, that's what it means is, if I'm even sitting rendering something and just moving a plant around from left to right just to get the perfect composition, like it's giving me joy and that's what I'm doing it. So I think doing things with love is being driven with that joy and like that twinkle and sparkle, like, oh, I want to really do this, and that excitement. So I hope to never lose that in the process. So that's what it would be for me.
Great, thank you. And then the last question. This is more about thinking ahead of time. Where do you see yourself in 10 years?
Ooh, I mean, hopefully I'm still enjoying what I'm doing. Like I'm obsessed with the process, so hopefully that would be the baseline. And I have like real hopes and vision for the future where I could be more of a design leader, so I can hone my voice more as like somebody who reflects well on design and can form a good opinion on design and be able to lead teams, like to meet that vision. So yeah, I would like to be a design leader in the next 10 years.
Amazing. Great.
Put it out there in the universe. Let's see what comes back.
I guess wherever it is where you can feel that you are still owning your voice and leading people towards what you believe.
Yeah.
That would be a great place.
And I'm able to form the ability to do that in the next 10 years, right? That's the real wish.
I'm sure you will. I think you are doing it great so far. And thanks, Dhruvee. Thanks a lot for your time. I think it was an amazing chat we had, and it was quite on time. I think it was just great, very insightful, and very fun also. I really enjoyed it.
This was, super enjoyable for me too.
Any link where people can find you or reach out to you for some feedback or asking for a job?
Please do not ask me for a job, but I'm very happy to have conversations, and I think that would be LinkedIn would be the best place.
That was Dhruvee Tyagi sharing not just her professional path, but her reflections on identity, culture, and how to design with joy and purpose. If you enjoyed this conversation, make sure to subscribe and leave a comment about what resonated most with you. Maybe it was her thoughts on competition, mentorship, or finding calm within ambition. You can find Dhruvee Tyagi on LinkedIn, where she's always open to thoughtful design conversations. Just maybe don't ask her for a job. This is Designfulness, sharing ideas about design and how to create from a place of consciousness and love. Thank you so much for your time again. With love, Jerry. Bye.